Good morning everyone. Today we're trying a $18,000 camera setup right here. This housing is about $9,000. Then we have the A1 in there, a 1635, and we're gonna compare it to the camera condom, which is just under $350, and the camera in there is the A7S III. How does it compare? Is it even worth it? We're gonna try it out in the water. If you're ready, let's go. I know what you're thinking. This camera condom is way too scary to be used, and how could I ever put this $9,000 camera setup in there? This new housing is obviously going to be 10 times better. Well, maybe not. Let me explain. Almost 6 years ago, I bought this camera condom refurbished on Amazon for about $250 instead of $350 plus, and yes, it really got me scared at first, yet I leaned in, I tried in the shallow and instantly started shooting in waves, surf, underwater concepts, whales, sharks, and much more, and I was blown away by the result. I really got scared once while diving at around minus 20 meters and saw some fog come up in the camera, went straight up, but since then I haven't had any issue. That's until Joey obviously started using it, but we'll get to that in a second. I'm not gonna spoil it for you guys. So here the question is, what does this $18,000 setup feels like? The first thing that you can notice is that all the buttons are extremely accessible and easy. I can change everything on my camera while I'm shooting right there in the water. That's pretty insane. Look at this, sharks everywhere, rays everywhere, and most importantly, something I could never do before was review photos while I'm in the water. Before I had reflection, I could never see through that bag properly. I was shooting blind most of the time, but now I can actually see what I'm shooting. Now look at that. I don't know if you can see through the GoPro, but I can try to frame my shots properly to get what I want. And I can even shoot split shots, which means half over, half under. And I'm gonna try to do that with the shark in the mountains in the background and maybe Megan or someone else in the water. It's a type of shot I've always tried to do in my life, but it wasn't possible before because it relies on that front dome element, which is curved, that allows you to have both outside and inside the water in focus at the same time. My camera condom has a flat port, which actually creates a lot, or like does not correct for the distortion that you will see under the water and above the water when you're seeing both at the same time. Now the big downside that you might not be seeing is that it is so heavy to carry, which means when I'm trying to shoot at the surface, it's way harder than the dome part right now, and I'm really struggling to hold it by the surface. Maybe you can't tell, but it pushes me to actually pedal a lot to keep it at the surface if I can't touch the ground. Really good workout. If you haven't tried, highly recommend. Now, one of the scariest part of being on the water with a camera is that you never know when it might leak or if it leaks, and Joey will discover that in a few seconds. But for me, with this camera housing, with the new one, I can actually vacuum seal it, and it's gonna have a little light that's gonna show me when it's vacuum sealed, and if there's any kind of leak, the light is gonna start blinking red, which I will see in the water, and I'll go up. But most importantly, the water shouldn't ingress much because we have that vacuum seal, which means that even if there was some kind of leak, the elements are stuck together because it's a vacuum inside. And if I did have a leak, I would just put the camera facing down, the water would go in the dome, and I would just go up to the surface, come out, and remove it. But honestly, this gives me a lot of peace of mind before getting in the water, because with that camera housing, I have to check every single time by pressing if I see bubbles come out or not. With this, I apparently don't have to. Now, I can't say I'm like 100% confident, because whenever you have your camera in there, it's always a bit scary, but you know, you gotta get the shot. Another thing I'm noticing that swimming with it and just holding it, you're way more stable, which makes it easier, which gives you more liberty and control over what you're going to be shooting compared to when I was using the camera condom, where I was shooting blind most of the time. I had to go through intuition. Let's see how Joey is doing with the camera condom, and let's conclude as if it's worth it or not. All right, getting out of the water, as you can see, we're a few more. Eva, Zach, Ree just joined, and honestly, Joey, how was your experience? Because this looks super foggy.
Yeah.
What the heck happened? Joey?
I have no idea. I mean, it's still working, so that's good.
So
but
let's open it and let's see. Honestly, this is great housing. I think it was humid and
Yeah.
you left it overnight,
Yeah.
so it got all
Just got a
funky.
little foggy in there.
For me-
it's not super wet.
Perfect, because this actually has a system where you can vacuum pump it, which means that it's completely vacuum sealed from the inside. There's no air, it's the vacuum, and that little LED will tell you if there is an air leak, which is super helpful, because then you don't have to think about it anymore as much. And you know what, in terms of using, I mean, I've taken like great shots with those plastic bags, but this makes it so much easier to actually operate the camera and also to review stuff. And Zach has also one, but you see his dome port.
I actually stole Emmett's this morning.
Oh, his dome port is actually a lot bigger than mine, which is for that's what she said, which is for you're shooting 12 millimeter or like 14 or 8 millimeters and fisheye and stuff. That's when you want to use that. But this is great, honestly. I'm very impressed. It's very expensive. I don't know if it's necessary to be spending that much money if you're just starting out. I've used this for 6 years, never had a problem, and it's been amazing.
Biggest difference is that you can actually properly see what you're shooting on this one versus that one is basically just a surprise at the end, which is nice too, but
It can be a nice surprise.
it can be
I
a
mean,
nice surprise.
You got like insane shot with the whale yesterday.
Oh my god,
Right?
It was beautiful. Yeah, and that was a surprise because
And
I didn't know what I was.
that was with this.
Oh yeah, it was absolutely sick. It was absolutely sick. You can get real bangers with that one for sure. For
Yeah.
both video and photo.
Yeah, I wouldn't be worried, honestly, and that might be a little cheaper. I like this Airworm Marine brand. There's other brands, but the one thing I love about this is that, wait, you do have water in there, Joey.
I tested it at the beginning.
Oh,
Let's get the
that's
camera
not
out.
that is not good. What happened? You didn't close it?
I did.
I never had a problem in 6 years, and Joey uses it twice and somehow manages to get it wet. Oh my god, that's crazy. Joey!
It's all good. Everyone chill.
Joey, you had a little funny experiment with this, but how was it for your kind of almost first time shooting on the water?
It was fun. The problem is that I couldn't see what I shoot, so it's all about intuition. But for the price to get started, it's pretty safe. Aside from that little incident there.
This one, honestly, is crazy, but when I think about the whole overall budget, I already had the camera, it's insane. So you really need to make it worth it. This is how it looks inside. This is what we call real engineering. Look at this. Wow. And for the first time ever in shooting on the water, guys, I was able to review photos while shooting and could see what I was shooting.
You also want to consider like how you can actually like just squeeze this together and throw it in your bag. Well, this is pretty heavy and clunky to travel with, right? Like, how did you get it here, Pierre?
Pretty heavy and clunky, that's how I got it. I'll see you in the next episode, guys. We still have to go and take some photos with whales. We have a lot more adventures. I'll try to share a few more. Also, it's the end of the year and a few cameras are dropping, so keep an eye out. I'll see you in the next one.
Bye bye.